The A.C. Gilbert Company, widely remembered as Gilbert Toys, created one of the most inspiring yet tragic chapters in American business history. Starting small in the early 1900s, it grew into a major force that captured the excitement of America's industrial boom. Through clever, durable educational toys, above all the famous Erector Set, the company taught millions of children real skills in engineering, science, and building. It stood as a shining example of optimism, hard work, and progress during a time when the United States was becoming the world's leading industrial power. Yet by the late 1960s, the same company collapsed into bankruptcy, unable to keep up with huge changes in how people bought toys, how things were made, and where money flowed in the economy. Its story shows both the power of bold ideas and the danger of failing to change when the world around you does. Alfred Carlton Gilbert, known to everyone as A.C. Gilbert, was born on February 15, 1884, in Salem, Oregon. His family was not rich, but they encouraged learning and independence. As a boy, Gilbert was full of energy and curiosity. He loved sports and adventure so much that he once ran away from home to join a traveling medicine show. There he boxed, performed acrobatics, and entertained crowds under the nickname champion boy bag puncher of the world. This early taste of showmanship and self-reliance shaped his future. When he returned home, he channeled his energy into athletics, particularly pole vaulting. He trained hard, and in 1908 traveled to London for the Olympics. There he won the gold medal by clearing 12 feet 2 inches, a new Olympic record, using a custom bamboo pole he had helped design and perfect. This victory made him a national hero among young Americans and proved his ability to innovate under pressure. While competing, Gilbert was also studying medicine at Yale University. He earned his medical degree in 1909, but school was expensive. To support himself, he performed as a professional magician at parties, clubs, and events across the Northeast. He mastered complex illusions, escapes, card tricks, and sleight-of-hand routines. This experience taught him how to captivate audiences, explain complicated ideas simply, and sell products through excitement and demonstration, skills that later became central to his toy empire. In 1909, Gilbert partnered with John Petrie to launch the Misto Manufacturing Company in Westville, Connecticut, near New Haven. Their first products were magic kits, box sets containing rubber eggs for vanishing acts, disappearing coins, silk handkerchiefs for color changes, and detailed instruction booklets. These appealed to amateur magicians and hobbyists, but the market was limited and sales remained modest. The turning point arrived in 1911 during a routine train trip from New Haven to New York City for a sales call. Gilbert gazed out the window at massive construction crews working on the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad's electrification project. He watched in awe as workers hoisted and bolted enormous steel girders, cross braces, and beams into place with precision engineering. The scale, strength, and ingenuity struck him deeply. He thought, why isn't there a toy that lets boys build real things like this? Back in his small workshop, Gilbert began experimenting. He collaborated with a local machinist to create miniature steel components, flat perforated strips with holes spaced at regular intervals, right-angled girders that formed rigid hollow square beams. When 4 pieces were bolted together, pulleys, gears, wheels, axles, nuts, bolts, and a small DC electric motor powered by flashlight batteries. These parts allowed children to assemble functional, moving models, drawbridges that lifted, cranes that hoisted weights, Ferris wheels that rotated, elevators that ascended and descended. The realism was unmatched. Unlike the flat-strip designs of British competitor Meccano, Gilbert's girders mimicked actual structural steel used in American skyscrapers, bridges, and factories, giving models greater stability and authenticity. In 1913, Gilbert patented his invention and debuted it at the New York Toy Fair as the Misto Erector Structural Steel Builder. Priced between $3 and $5, equivalent to roughly $90 to $150 today. It was not cheap, but parents recognized its educational value. Each set arrived in a sturdy wooden box filled with hundreds of parts and an illustrated manual showing step-by-step builds of dozens of projects, from simple vehicles to complex machines. The Erector Set exploded in popularity almost immediately. Word spread quickly among parents, teachers, and educators who praised its ability to teach geometry, physics, mechanics, spatial reasoning, and persistence through hands-on play. Boys, and increasingly some girls, spent countless hours in basements and backyards constructing elaborate models and proudly displaying them to friends and family. By 1916, Gilbert had bought out Petrie, reorganized the business as the A.C. Gilbert Company, and rebranded the toy as /Gilbert Erector, the toy like structural steel, /. He invested heavily in advertising. One of the first toy companies to run national campaigns in magazines such as Boy's Life and Parents Magazine, featuring photographs of beaming children posing beside towering creations. The New Haven factory expanded rapidly, eventually occupying multiple city blocks and employing hundreds of workers. Sales grew steadily year after year. Gilbert's ambition did not end with construction sets. In the 1920s, he expanded into a full line of scientific educational toys designed to inspire the next generation of inventors and scientists. Chemistry sets featured real glassware, test tubes, beakers, flasks, safely formulated chemicals, and guided experiments that let children mix solutions, observe reactions, and learn basic principles. Microscope outfits included prepared slides of plant cells, pond water organisms, and fabrics, plus high-quality lenses for detailed viewing. Mineralogy kits provided tools and charts for identifying rocks, minerals, and gems through simple tests. Electric sets taught circuits and magnetism with batteries, wires, bulbs, and electromagnets. Metal casting outfits allowed kids to melt low-temperature alloys and pour small figures. Crystal radio kits enabled children to build receivers and tune in actual AM broadcasts using only wire, a crystal detector, and headphones. No electricity required. In 1938, facing financial pressures from the lingering effects of the Great Depression, Gilbert acquired the struggling American Flyer Toy Train Company from Chicago-based W.O. Coleman. He relocated production to New Haven and upgraded the line to S-gauge scale, a compromise between O-gauge realism and smaller HO scale. The trains featured die-cast metal locomotives, detailed passenger cars with interior lighting, operating signals, crossing gates, and realistic track layouts that appealed to both children and adult hobbyists. During World War I, Gilbert demonstrated remarkable business acumen and patriotism. In 1918, the War Industries Board proposed banning toy production to conserve steel and redirect labor to military needs. Officials even considered restricting Christmas gifts to encourage purchases of Liberty bonds. As president of the Toy Manufacturers of America, an organization he helped found, Gilbert traveled to Washington with sample Erector sets in hand. He met personally with representatives from the Departments of War, Commerce, and Interior. He argued passionately that these toys were not luxuries, but essential training tools for future engineers who would rebuild America's infrastructure and support its industrial and military strength after the war. His logic and enthusiasm convinced the board to exempt toys from restrictions. Newspapers across the country hailed him as the man who saved Christmas, generating massive free publicity and boosting brand loyalty. The company's golden era spanned the 1920s through the 1950s. The Roaring Twenties brought rising prosperity, and middle-class families eagerly purchased premium educational toys. The Great Depression hit hard, but Gilbert survived better than many competitors by emphasizing durability, long-term value, and educational benefits. Parents preferred toys their children could use for years rather than cheap novelties. During World War II, material shortages forced adaptations, but the company contributed by producing training models, glider kits, and other items for the armed forces. The post-war baby boom and suburban expansion created explosive demand. New homes featured basements ideal for sprawling train layouts and erector projects. By the 1950s, annual revenues reached approximately $20 million, equivalent to more than $220 million in today's dollars after inflation adjustment, with up to 5,000 employees at the peak. The company offered progressive employee benefits, including paid maternity leave and health contributions, forward-thinking for the era. In 1941, Gilbert opened the Gilbert Hall of Science on Fifth Avenue in New York City. This impressive three-story public attraction featured live demonstrations of chemistry reactions, electricity experiments, and magnetism shows, alongside massive Erector-built models of bridges, factories, and power plants. It drew hundreds of thousands of visitors annually, serving as both an educational resource and a powerful marketing tool that reinforced the brand's association with real science and progress. One of the most daring and memorable products launched in 1950, the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Laboratory. Priced at $49.50, roughly $650 in current dollars. This deluxe science kit included actual low-level radioactive minerals, autunite, torbernite, uranite, carnotite, a Geiger-Muller counter for detecting radiation, a Wilson cloud chamber to visualize alpha particle tracks, a spinthariscope, an electroscope, and comprehensive experiment manuals developed with input from nuclear physicists. Released during the early Cold War when atomic energy was promoted as a source of peaceful power and national pride, the kit aimed to educate children about nuclear science in a positive light. It sold modestly for about a year before public fears of radiation intensified, fueled by news of atomic testing and fallout concerns, leading to low demand for such an expensive, niche item. Some parents returned kits after media reports highlighted risks, and stricter regulations on consumer radioactive materials eventually ended similar products. Challenges emerged after A.C. Gilbert retired in 1954, passing leadership to his son. A.C. Gilbert Jr., the founder, passed away on January 24, 1961, at age 76. Investor Jack Rather acquired a controlling interest, and new management pursued aggressive expansion, more factories, larger inventory runs, and attempts to diversify product lines. However, profound shifts were underway. Television dominated American households. Children increasingly preferred passive entertainment over time-intensive tinkering. Plastics revolutionized manufacturing. Injection-molded toys were lightweight, colorful, inexpensive to produce at scale, and easy to ship. Competitors like Mattel, introducing Barbie in 1959 and Hot Wheels in 1968, and Hasbro invested heavily in television advertising during Saturday morning cartoons, creating instant consumer demand and high-volume sales cycles. Gilbert's core products remained heavy, steel-based, labor-intensive to manufacture, costly to ship, and slow to play with in an era craving instant gratification. Profit margins shrank as wages rose and competition intensified. Overexpansion created excess inventory, mounting debt, and cash flow problems. Attempts to modernize, such as the 1965 James Bond 007 road race set, failed to capture the market. Sales declined steadily through the mid-1960s. In 1966, the company reported losses approaching $13 million. In February 1967, the A.C. Gilbert Company filed for bankruptcy after more than half a century in operation. The New Haven factories shut down, thousands of workers lost their jobs, and assets were liquidated. Erector rights went to Gabriel Industries, which shifted to plastic versions but saw sales continue to drop, while American Flyer trains were sold to rival Lionel, which soon faced its own difficulties. The collapse was more than a single company's failure. It reflected a fundamental transformation in American capitalism. The nation shifted from an economy centered on heavy industrial production, skilled craftsmanship, and durable goods to one driven by consumer branding, mass media, disposable products, global supply chains, and rapid turnover. Investment capital flowed towards scalable, high-margin sectors like television advertising and low-cost plastics. Traditional manufacturing industries, steel, railroads, electromechanical devices, experienced parallel declines as priorities changed. In one clear line, Gilbert Toys helped build America's industrial future by teaching kids real engineering and science through durable steel erector sets, chemistry kits, microscopes, and trains, but the company fell apart and went bankrupt in 1967 because shifting consumer tastes favored cheap, flashy plastic toys, television entertainment, aggressive marketing, and fast turnover products that its expensive, hands-on manufacturing could not compete against. The lessons remained strikingly relevant. Innovation and superior quality alone are insufficient for long-term survival. Businesses must continuously monitor and adapt to evolving cultural preferences, technological advancements, and capital flows. Gilbert genuinely inspired generations to pursue careers in engineering, science, and invention. Alumni of his toys helped design bridges, power plants, factories, and infrastructure that powered America's rise. Yet the company failed to reinvent its own business model when hands-on. Industrial play gave way to screen-based, instant consumption entertainment. Similar patterns appear today. Brick-and-mortar retail overtaken by e-commerce giants. Traditional banks challenged by fintech apps. Cable television displaced by streaming platforms. And legacy industries disrupted by digital transformation. Capital never remains loyal. It relentlessly seeks efficiency, scale, immediacy, and growth potential. Even decades later, Gilbert's legacy endures in subtle but meaningful ways. Vintage Erector sets are highly sought after by collectors who meticulously restore them to working condition. Science and technology museums preserve examples and demonstrate their mechanics to new generations. Countless adults credit childhood Gilbert toys with sparking lifelong passions for STEM fields. From engineers who built careers designing real structures to hobbyists who still tinker in garages. The story of the A.C. Gilbert Company serves as both celebration and cautionary tale. Visionary leadership can build empires and shape nations, but ignoring fundamental shifts in society, technology, and economics can bring even the mightiest down. In our current era of artificial intelligence, remote work, digital currencies, and rapid innovation cycles, the Gilbert saga remains a timeless reminder. Adapt swiftly or fade into history.